So, The Last of Us Season 2, the TV show, just finished. And from what you told me, you did not watch it and you're not interested in watching it. But I
Yep.
still have a couple of thoughts on the season and everything around the seasons too. Around the season, like in the internet, in the social media. It did suscite a lot of reactions. And
Yes.
yeah, I want to touch on that. So, Season 2. I have not played the game yet. I want to play it now because, the Season 2 ends, and full spoilers if you don't want to hear spoilers about The Last of Us, the Last of Us Part 2, Season 2, just skip to the tier list because I'm just going to talk about the TV show and
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah. Talk openly. I wanna know your thoughts.
Okay. So, the season finishes when Abby, right after Ellie just killed the girl with her baby,
Mhm.
and she comes back and tells everything about that situation and Joel and everything to Dina, back their hiding spot in the city. And then Abby arrives, and it looks like she shot Ellie, and the season's end right there.
Okay.
And from what we can suppose, the second season, like season 3, second season of part 2, is going to be the Abby season. Like, from what I've
Yeah.
understood, a big part of the game you're playing as Abby and her story, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So that's the crux of the story. I cannot tell you about the changes about with the game because I have not played the game, but I felt like the TV show wasn't as snappy as the first season. Like the first season really felt like a complete TV show with a lot of twists and turns,
Mhm.
and something that I really enjoy. I really enjoyed like first seasons in general because like the whole part of learning about the big mystery and what is happening in this world, how the rules work and everything. That's really interesting. And then you have to follow that with good characters and good story because you kind
Mhm.
of already know the world. So there's an additional challenge for a second season. And I was kind of surprised that Joel was in it as much as he was because like he dies pretty early in the second game.
Yep.
And I think he only dies like in the third episode of 7 episodes, and
Oh, okay.
there's a lot of flashbacks to when he tells to Ellie what happened in the hospital and everything. So Joel is still in the season for like half the season. So that was still pretty interesting. I was wondering what they were gonna do because Pedro Pascal is a big draw for a lot of people. He's
Yep.
really popular, and he's still in there for quite a while. Um, but other than the fact that the story didn't felt as good as the first season, I really like everything else. Like I felt the acting was great, the tension was pretty good. There are not a lot of zombies in the game, whatever they're called, but
The show.
there's
Yeah.
yeah, there's not a lot of infected in the show, but that never really bothered me. Even the first seasons, like the second half, doesn't have a lot of infected, but at the
Mhm.
same time, that the characters is why you watch the show. Like the
Yeah.
infected are just like they're part of the action of the game for the show in itself. They don't serve a lot of purpose except of bringing tensions in key moments, right?
Mhm.
So that was good. But yeah, all in all, I think the show, the second season, it didn't fall all flat for me. I think like the highs were pretty high. There was a lot of great action scenes, and Ellie is not super likable in that second season because she's living
Mhm.
through a lot of trauma, but like that's relatable. I mean, she just looks her father figure and
She's
she's dealing with a lot of emotions, right?
Yeah, she's not very likable in like half of The Last of Us 2 anyway. Because she is going through all that trauma,
Yeah.
and she's basically just being kind of a dick to everyone. So
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens in the show. So they did that pretty well. What I didn't like is not really the show in itself, but like I said, the social media reactions.
mhm,
Like I was bombarded with memes about the appearance of the Ellie actress or
mhm.
actor. I think they're non-binary. I'm just gonna say actress because she's playing the female lead of the show,
Right, yeah,
and she's just people are just fucking mean with her
yeah,
because
they
her
are.
face isn't like a top model, and like who the fuck cares? She's just a person, and she's doing a great job in the show. And why like she's still playing like a kid? She's 19 or something. Like why are people just so aggressively against making her feel bad? Like I don't get this, and I had to block a bunch of like pages on Facebook because I was just seeing those like awful memes every day.
Yeah,
And like what the fuck, man. I a lot of people were also complaining about the show and like every episode, every scene, and I don't get it. The show is enjoyable. I don't remember which episode it was, but like the episode where Ellie and Dina kind of confess to each other that they like each other, and Ellie just plays guitar to her. Like that was super emotional, and
mhm,
people were just memeing that it wasn't exactly like the game, and I don't get it, man. I don't really know how to formulate this, but it angers me. I'm like, why can't people just enjoy the show for what it is? It's an
right,
adaptation of The
yeah,
Last of Us. There's action, there's emotions. It's well produced, and it never feels cheap. Like, what do you want more? I
right.
don't
And
get it.
it's not the game. Like it's an adaptation. It's a show. It can't be the video game because
No,
it's not.
it has to change things. Like in video games, they can like perfect every details of the faces. They can do the environments exactly like they want for every
Mhm.
shot and everything. But in person, you just have to make choices at some points, and
Yep.
you have to live with those choices. And to me, I'm still super hyped for the third season. I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the Abby side of the story. I think
Mhm.
I don't know. I like apart from Joel dying, I know nothing about the second game. I think Ellie decides to not kill Abby at the end. That's pretty much all I know about the game. So I really don't know where the story is going, and I think it runs in parallel to the first season or like that first part of the game. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really excited for that new season. That will
Cool.
be coming in like 2 years. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's a good time. Like now I'm curious to play the second game.
You
I'm really
should. It's
curious.
really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I will. I will. I was just waiting for that season to. So I wasn't like comparing the show to the game all the time.
Right.
Like I like that part of when I watched the first season of The Last of Us. I had not played the first game, and I could just enjoy the show without having those reactions. Oh, this is this, this is that,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and so yeah, I wanted to wait a bit.
Cool. It's nice to hear a positive take on this season. Um, because there has been a lot of negativity. Like I've heard a lot of people being like, "Well, it starts off really, really strong, and then the middle episodes are kind of mediocre, and then there's all the bad takes
Yeah,
about
yeah.
all
I
the
will say
bullshit." But
there are one or two episodes that feel a bit like filler. Like
okay,
it when they leave. I don't remember like their settlement to go to Seattle, and then they're just waiting, and then they meet the cult in the forest and everything. That I'm I'm sure it's in the game, but it feels weird in that universe. Like just being in the middle of a war between a cult and some other kind of settlement that we don't really know about. That's not the
Mhm.
most engaging part. But then after those episodes, you get the flashbacks with Joel, and then you get the big finale. And there's maybe like one episode and a half that are a bit less interesting, but
Okay,
not nothing that would make me turn the show off, right?
cool. Um, yeah, like I said, it's nice to hear a positive take on it. I probably will end up watching. I know I said that I wasn't going to. Like, I wasn't in any rush to
Yeah.
watch it. Like, I really enjoyed the first season, but I don't know, just wasn't. It was coming out, and I wasn't really in the mood for that kind of show right now. So
Yeah, it's more of a Halloween show. Like
yeah,
yeah, it would have been great like in the middle of October.
yeah, yeah. So maybe I'll watch it. I might end up trying to watch it while I'm recovering from surgery here in a few
Mhm.
weeks, just because I'm gonna have a lot of time where I'm
Yeah,
on the couch, not doing anything else. And I'm sure, like, I'll be playing a lot of video games for sure, but there's gonna come a point where, I've played video games for 16 hours, 2 days in a row, and I'll be like,
yeah,
kind of want to just put down a controller and
yeah,
watch
yeah.
something passively rather than be intensely involved in whatever I'm doing.
Absolutely, I get that.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll get around to it, or maybe I'll just watch a shitload of anime and call it a good time.
Yeah. Anyways, I can't wait to hear about that.
All right.
Good.
But this is not the Last of Us podcast.
No,
No, it is not. It's the
it's
Trash Station podcast, your gaming podcast, all about weird, unknown, and forgotten video games. I am your host, Chris, here with my Canadian co-host, Max,
mhm,
who you've been hearing talk about The Last of Us for the last several minutes.
yeah. Thanks, Chris. I'm doing pretty good, and you know, we say it every time in our friend
Yep.
circles. We're known to play some trashy games. We're talking anime games, retro games we've never heard of, the indie stuff on itch.io, and everything in between.
And as usual, we'll add those games to our tier list that we call the landfill, chat about our creative hobbies, and shout out some of our favorite content creators on the internet. And Max, we are going to absolutely devolve into the first part of your sentence that you say at the top every time. We're going to talk about some anime games.
Oh, let's
Because
go. Yeah, I did search it for to add it to the tier list, and I was like, is that hentai?
no, it is not.
Okay, okay. Good.
um, it is not. So, the game that we are going to talk about first, the game that I'm going to talk about first, that Max is referring to, is a game called Nunholy. This game just released, like 2 weeks ago or something like that. Let me get the exact release date.
Uh,
Um,
I don't know.
unless you
It
already have it
says
pulled up.
I have the first release date January 16 and the last update March 19.
January 16th. That does not sound right because it wasn't available for me to purchase until. Oh wait, maybe you're right.
That's what I'm seeing on Steam.
Yeah, that's what it does say on Steam. I think it got. I don't know. That's weird. That's weird because it was telling me that I couldn't purchase it. I don't know how to look at like my purchase history to find out when I purchased it. It doesn't matter. We're in the middle of
Yeah.
recording. Um so uh I had seen this game and I was like, "Oh, that looks kind of interesting." And I was waiting for it to actually be released. And then I guess it finally released eventually. What this game is it is a Hades clone. Like in quite literally all of the gameplay ways, this is a Hades clone. And we'll get into that in a moment. But
All
I
right.
want to pose a hypothetical to both you and to our audience. And that hypothetical is, have you ever wanted to play Hades, but all of the characters were big titty waifus.
I can't say I have, but
Okay,
now that
because that's
you're pitching it to me, I'm pretty interested.
because that's exactly what this game is. So this game was made in South Korea, I believe. By a studio called Chobits or Chowby. And self-published by them. And this game's like $8. Super, super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And it is 100% a Hades clone. It's a top-down action, like hack and slash roguelike. All I played for the last 2 weeks was roguelikes because I'm trying to understand why people like this fucking genre. So I played a bunch of them. Some of them who people have heard of before. Some of them people have not heard of before. Probably like this one.
Mm-hmm.
And as a top-down action game, I think this game is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a little easy. Like it took me 6 runs, I think, to beat the final boss. So let's take a step back.
Okay.
Much like in Hades, you have to play through the game. You have to fight a series of 3 bosses over 3 different levels, and you have to play through each of the levels, different stages. One of the stages at the stage you can randomize doors, a symbol that gives you a boon of some kind. Now the difference here, actually the biggest difference between this game and Hades, is that at the end of these rooms, except for very specific ones, which I'll kind of touch on in a second, but at the end of the majority of the rooms, because you're fighting vampires, you're collecting their blood, and you have one of 2 options to choose with that blood. It ends up being like a sphere in the center of the room. You can either absorb that blood, and that will level your character up, giving you boons, or you can shatter that sphere, which gives you blood crystals, which are your currency to use mid-run, to be able to then purchase artifacts to use or to equip to yourself. And that's the only way to get money. So you have to sacrifice levels to get money, to get equipment that can help you. Or you can not get any equipment at all and just continuously buy or purchase or take in the blood and continue to level yourself up and get boons that way.
Okay.
So that is the biggest difference between Hades, because with Hades, it's every door that you go into, you're going into a room, and you know what type of boon from what god you're going to be getting. Instead, whenever you go through the doors, it'll still have a symbol there, but it'll be like a room where you can get excess blood gems. It'll be a room where you can upgrade one of your artifacts. It'll be a mid-run shop where you can purchase artifacts, or a shop where you can purchase garlic. Because you're fighting against vampires, garlic is your shield. So it adds additional health points to yourself, essentially, just on a separate bar. And things like that. So it's interesting in that way. And it's pretty fun, but it's also really, really fucking easy.
Okay.
So you have to fight 3, like I said, you have to fight through all the levels and then fight 1, 2, 3 bosses. When you defeat the 3rd boss, you have to defeat that 3rd boss 3 times to unlock the final door to get into the final area to be able to defeat the actual final boss of the game. I defeated that 3rd boss on my 2nd run through the game.
Wow.
Which it was like, I don't know, 15 runs before I even got to fighting the last boss of Hades, which is Hades himself. So if you're looking for that level of challenge that Hades gave you, you're not gonna find it here. And there's no difficulties as far as I can tell. Like, I would almost like this game to be harder, just because it is so easy. But that doesn't take away from like it being just kind of fun to play. And
Mhm.
the artifact system is actually kind of cool because it's set up on like a grid like Diablo. So all the artifacts are, different shapes. You have to fit them into a designated space on your little grid there. Yeah, like I almost expected this game to be worse than what it is. But it's actually not
Yeah.
bad.
No.
So
And how's the big titty anime girls impact the game?
they have zero impact on the game. They're just there.
They're
So
just there from time to time.
yeah, so you play as one of three characters. You're a nun trying to defeat these vampires. I don't know, story doesn't matter. And then like all of the shops and like people that you can talk to in like your main hub, they're all big titty nuns that are anime styled. Yeah, like it's just that it's there as set dressing for uh people to buy the game because that's what they want.
Mhm.
But you said initially it is asking if it was a hentai game, and I think it may have that tag on Steam, which is stupid because it's not. Um, like
Yeah.
there's no nudity, there's nothing
You, you
sexual in the
you
game.
just have the.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a bunch of waifus.
Yeah. And
So
did the fact that you played Hades first, did that impact your enjoyment or your relation with the game?
probably. I think I may have found this a little bit more difficult had I not played Hades first, but I think because that game is kind of hard and you really have to like dash around and understand your powers and everything in that game, it made this game a little bit easier to approach. So
Mhm.
that may have had some effect, but I mean, I can't really don't know how to answer that objectively, because
Yeah.
I can't experience this game without already having the experience of Hades in my head,
No,
right?
that's true. Absolutely.
Uh, and Hades is supposedly like one of the best roguelikes. I say supposedly because I've not played all that many of them, so
Yeah.
it is generally considered one of the best by people who are fans of that genre. So by nature of that, I'm always going to be comparing a game like this to Hades because that's like the tent pole of this genre at this point. It's like it's the one that everybody talks about as being
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one you should play,
Absolutely.
right?
You you ruin all your future action RPG roguelike
Right.
experience.
Um yeah, I mean, and I kind of feel the same way about this that I did about Hades. Like, I kind of wish this was just a level-based action game where I didn't have to start it over from the beginning if I died to the final boss. Like, let me play through
Yeah.
just the last level again, and instead of because I think my final run time for actually beating the game, which I just beat it this morning, was like an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. Which is it's not an insanely long amount of time, but that's a time commitment. If you lose that final boss, you're out at hour 10, hour 20, and then
Yeah.
you have to do that over again to get back there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So
I understand your frustration. It's like yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, I will say I'm surprised this game was as good as it is. Um, but it also was not great. So yeah, it's fine. It's going right into the B tier. It's a perfectly fine game. If this sounds like something, if you want a game that plays like Hades, then maybe play
Yeah.
this one, I guess.
Yeah, I get Nunholy. That's a fine game, B tier.
Mhm.
Okay. So, on my end, I had an itch because last episode I finished The Legend of Jaffa Brownie, if you remember, on my
Mhm.
phone, which was a 3D platformer. And so I had no other phone games to play in the bus. And I wanted to play some games that didn't require to play with a digital joystick or with a controller, just because. Well, I think I showed you my setup with like a controller attached to my
Mhm.
phone, but the Bluetooth doesn't work so well in the bus. I think like since it's moving and there's a lot of phones and stuff, it keeps losing the connection, but only in the
Okay.
bus. So anyway, so I looked for some ball rolling game, like things like Monkey Ball, Marble Madness, that kind of stuff where I could just move my phone with the accelerometer, whatever.
Mhm.
Just move my phone and do and have some motion gaming on my phone. And I did play a lot. And the first two games that I'm going to talk about, they're sequels. It's Rollz with a Z and Rollz 2.
Okay.
It's exactly what you think it is. You play as a ball, a marble, and they're levels floating into space, and you just have to roll to the end. That's it. That's the whole game. In the first one, there's a couple different differences. In the first one, there's 30 levels, and each level have the same, roughly the same theme, with like stuff floating in the air and just you in on those platforms. And the game has two kinds of obstacles. They have the rolling around obstacle and just avoid falling into the pit. And there are some puzzle elements. Like one of the enemies, there are a couple enemies, and the one of the enemies like a robot following you around. So if you move, it just start charging at you. And like one level, you had to not go that way and go on another way and push some roads above, just some planks. Push them above the robot so you can go above the robot and finish the level.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I have to say about the first game. So you roll around, you reach the end, avoid stuff, slight puzzles. The second game,
What's the
yeah,
presentation of that look like? Is it kind of like Monkey Ball, where you're just kind of on a floating platform and you can fall off the edge, or can you, or are
yeah,
you like more contained?
it's a bit like the Super Mario Sunshine like bonus levels where you're
Okay.
doing some 3D platforming in the void. That's more like the vibe. You have like
Okay.
a glowing sphere and you're like in a space kind of situation and you roll around. It doesn't feel like Monkey Ball where you're tilting the stage. It
Mhm.
feels just like you're controlling the ball with motion controls.
Okay.
And I must say the controls are pretty tight. Like it's fairly easy. There are some like 90 degrees turns
Mhm.
with slope and stuff, and it's fairly easy to get a grasp of the controls. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to say is that the way the game is free and it has ads, but the way it's implemented, it's kind of good and kind of bad because you only get ads if you die. So if you just win all your levels on the first try, you won't see any ads. But after you fall twice into the pit, you will get an ad. And that's kind of good because if you're good at the game, you have an extra incentive of being good at the game because you don't want to lose time watching an ad. But at
Mhm.
the same time, if there's one section that's a bit more difficult and you're just trying to go past that obstacle, well, you will get ads over and over. So
Right.
that that can be a bit frustrating in the more complicated sections. And that first game doesn't have any checkpoints, so each levels is roughly like 30 seconds long. That was a weird accent. 30 seconds long, and you have to do the level in one go.
Okay.
The second game is a bit more ambitious. It has 50 levels, and the presentation it's still like floating in a void in space and stuff, but it's a lot more assumed. Like the first one, it felt like random space with shapes and stuff floating around. Now you're clearly rolling on metal surfaces like if it was a spaceship floating in space. It doesn't look like a spaceship, but it feels like that. And
Okay.
for no apparent reason, the game is like really ominous. Like there's no real music. It's just like just ambient sounds and the sound of your ball rolling on metal. I was wondering if I was gonna get jump scared at some points. It just felt really uneasy for no reason. It's a marble rolling game. Like
Right.
what the fuck? But I mean, the presentation really works, and there are a couple levels that take place on a planet where you're rolling on like Mars, going around metal structures and stuff. That was really cool. And the levels are longer. You have like 2, 3 checkpoints per level, and you also have a jump button. So you have a bit more platforming that you have to do in this game. And that's the first one I played. I played that one, and then I played the second one first. And the first one was clearly a downgrade. It was okay. That's like easy peasy.
Right.
But that second one was really good. There were a section where you were like on a minecart and you had to push a button to make the minecart go, and you had to jump at the last second before the minecart fell into the pit. That took a couple tries to actually figure out. And yeah, like that level on Mars, like I spent like 25 levels in space in ominous music, and suddenly I'm in the middle of a planet. That was really cool. And but like at its core, the game is just about rolling a ball from A to B. That's the game. But that's what I wanted to play, and that's what I got. And honestly, the motion controls were great. The ambience was pretty good, and I had like 80 levels for free and a couple ads. And honestly, that's exactly what I wanted. It was a bit trickier playing in the bus, because while you play in the bus, the the motion controls is picking up the speed of the bus. So that was an extra challenge, but all in all, that was a really good phone game.
Excellent. Where are you going to put both of those on the tier list?
I'm gonna lump them together because I don't want to put like I have more ball games to talk about after. So I'm gonna lump them together, and I put this in A tier. Rollz and Rollz 2, especially Rollz 2, great game. Like if you're looking for a ball rolling game, it's great. It's I like compared to every game in existence, maybe it's not a great game, but I was looking for some ball rolling game, and I found a great one.
So if you're in the mood for something like Monkey Ball and you don't have a Monkey Ball to play, this is a good substitution for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not as arcadey or as action oriented as Monkey Ball, but
those games are kind of fucking hard.
Oh yeah, those are they're the Dark Souls of ball rolling game.
They can make you wanna throw your fucking controller sometimes. Let me ask you, when you mentioned that you were playing ball rolling games, I was trying to I had sent you a couple of games. I was like, well, are you playing this one? Are you playing that one? I sent you Red. I was like, are you playing Red Ball? And you're like, no, but that's a good guess. But Scully, have you played Scully?
No, I've not played Scully yet. I had it on my wish list for a while, and it often drops to like $3. And
wait for it to drop down to like $2 or $3, because like it's fine for that. It's a perfectly reasonable game if you want a 3D platformer where you play as a ball, essentially, because you're playing as a skull. And like there's some decent puzzles and whatnot in the game, but I think that game drags on a little bit too long towards the end. But I mean, overall, it's a perfectly fine game.
I think people had higher expectations of that game because the presentation is really solid,
Yeah,
but the gameplay is kind of mid, right?
yeah. I think they could have trimmed out like a quarter of each of the like main level spaces to make that a tighter, a better experience. Little bit of level editing would have gone a long way in that game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Skelly.
No. You already talked about it on the podcast, I think.
Did I?
I
Did I talk about that like really early on, like in the first
yeah, I think
episode?
so. I think so because I kind of remember you mentioning those things.
Okay. Um, I thought I played that last year. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um,
Yeah.
I have a different game to talk about. It's
Okay.
another roguelike. This one did actually just release.
Oh.
And it's called Yasha Legends of the Demon Blades.
Mhm.
Um,
I don't know what that is.
I don't think many people do because it got really poor review scores. But I played this during the Steam Next Fest demos, and
Mhm.
I kind of liked what it was doing and liked the aesthetic of it. It's another anime game. It's not a waifu game, but it does have an anime aesthetic in its cutscenes. Um, but it is also a top-down isometric action roguelike. Uh, and this one is I don't know, man. Like maybe the review scores are a little justified. Maybe they're not. It got a lot of like 5 out of 10s. I
Mhm.
don't know. It's let's dig into it a little bit. All right. So you have 3 characters to choose from when you start the game, and you have to play through the entire game as one of those characters. And you either have the girl with the sword, the like younger child character with like 2 knives, or this big I don't remember his name, but he's a bigger, heavy dude with a bow.
Mhm.
He's like a anthropomorphic lion or tiger or something like that. He's furry bait is what he is.
Nice.
Yeah, and great. The all the characters are fine. Um, each one of them plays differently, and that's actually gonna tie into one of my major complaints of the game. So, and we'll get there in a second. But once you pick a character, you have to play through the game basically 100% with that character on that save file, and then you have to start a new save file to play with one of the other 2 characters to see their side of the story. I did not play all the way through this game with all 3 characters, but I did play it with all 3 characters just enough to like see how the different characters felt in terms of like
Mhm.
how their combat feels and whatnot. And overall, I think all 3 characters play really well. Your sword girl is like the sort of balanced mid-range kind of character, you know, not too fast, not too slow. Fine. Like it's a
Mhm.
person with a sword. The girl, the ninja girl with the daggers, she's your lightweight fast character with a bunch of fast attacks. Doesn't do as much
Mhm.
damage, and I think she takes more damage. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it felt like she took more damage when she got hit by enemies. Could just be the perception of playing with a younger character. I don't know. And
Mhm.
then the third guy, the furry, he's a big heavy hitter, and it's weird to have like the heavy slow character with a bow also. Because that it felt like a weird combination at first, because like he's doing his heavy attacks with his fists, but then doing his normal attacks with the bow. So you have this mix of like long range power and short range power, and like I found it actually really kind of interesting to play with him. Um,
Yeah.
so that was cool. Um, you have a parry in this game, so basic top down combat stuff: light attack, heavy attack, block. I think there's a block button. Do I have a? note here for a block button. No, not a block button. Dodge. You have a dodge roll with invincibility frames, so you can dodge through attacks. And then the parry. Now the parry is really, really weird. And I'm not sure why they designed it like this, but you'll have certain attacks from enemies where they'll have a like a cue, like a light up on the weapon, like you often see in games where, you know, when the light triggers, that's when you're able to parry the attack, and only those attacks can be parried. But the thing is that you have to essentially release the parry button instead of press it at the time that trigger happens. And I'm not sure why they did that. I think they did it because when you have this like stance that you can go into, you can press and hold the parry button and it like builds up a charge meter. And then if you parry while you're at that full charge, you can do a more powerful special attack, which is an interesting idea. So that makes sense why you have to release the shoulder trigger at that time when the parry is happening. But if you're mid combo, you can't just tap the parry button to be able to parry because it bases it off like when you're releasing. So it's awkward to get used to at first. And what that basically ends up coming down to is that like you have to dodge most of those attacks, and then when especially against some of the bosses where like you get to know their pattern, you'll see that they're getting ready to do a particular attack. You'll press and hold the trigger button to parry, and then wait for the actual timing and then release and release the trigger for the parry. So that takes a little bit of getting used to, and I don't know if it was a good idea or a bad idea, but I think it's interesting. At least they were trying something different.
At least, yeah, there's something there.
The basic level structure is pretty simple. You play through 2 levels, and then you fight a boss, and then you'll play through 1 more level, and then you'll fight a boss, and then you move on to the next like world. So, and then it's 2 levels, boss, 1 level, boss, and then move on to the next world. You have to play through 3 worlds, each with progressively stronger enemies. And in between each one of the boss encounters, you go to this town, and you can heal. You can spend your in-run currency, which is gold, on like talismans, on ramen, which ramen's like a permanent upgrade for that particular run. Well, it's a semi-permanent upgrade because you can purchase a different type of ramen that provides different boons, and the ramen shop gets different upgrade types by you finding food collectibles out during a run, and then when you go to him, you give them to him, and like you give him something, and it'll be like, you know, takoyaki balls. Let's say you give to him, and it'll be like, oh, well, that gives you the chance to get, you know, plus 20% to your charge rate on your parry. And so you have to find all these items during a run, but those stay permanent for the next run. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that right?
I think so.
Okay. So yeah, and then you have souls, which are your like permanent currency, and they recently made a change to how the souls work. The souls drop rate was really, really low when I was playing it, so I would like get through an entire run or get to whatever boss I died at, because it took me a little bit longer to actually beat this game than Nunholy. But I would get to the end of a run and I would have like 500 souls, and then you can go to this shrine and spend those souls to upgrade your permanent stats, you know, plus 2 attack, defense, the ability to revive, whatever, various various percentile stats that are going to be added in for various different things. And it would be like, well, each one of these stat increases costs like 160 souls, 200 souls, and I might have enough for one or maybe two of those. And it felt like progression was really, really slow. So, and I think they took that feedback into consideration and increased the soul drop rate so that you can actually progress through the game a little bit faster, which good. Yeah, good that they're listening to feedback. And yeah, I mean that's the basic structure. Now, I don't fully know why this game is a roguelike. And what I mean by that is that all of the levels are the same every time you play through this game. So, level 1, level 2, boss are always going to be the same. Same enemies, same level layout. The only thing that's going to be randomized is like what boon you're going to get at the end of the level, which I didn't say anything about specifically, but you get a boon at the end of every level for one of your swords. So when you start a run, you can pick you can pick two weapons to bring with you. And and then you get boons for the weapons that you choose to bring with you. The problem that I found with this system, and I think there's a problem and there's something that I like. I think the problem that with this system is that all of the swords essentially have the exact same move set, just with a different special move attached to them.
Okay.
So you have 7 different swords that you can choose from that you have to purchase with souls, but they all have the exact same combo string with just a different special move tagged on to the end, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
It would add a lot of variety to like have each of those actually do something different. But then I think the thing that a lot of roguelike fans are going to not like about this game is that there's like 7 boons for each one of the swords, and you can only get boons for the 2 swords that you have with you currently. So what that ends up meaning is that more often than not, out of the 3 boons available to you at the end of each stage, you're going to find one of the same boons that you already have tried before, which means you're able to make the same build every time, which I like because it means that I'm always getting like the bonuses to damage that I want on my swords and not the upgrades that I don't want. But for people who like roguelikes and want that variety, the variety's just not there.
And I was looking at some gameplay. It looks a bit Naruto coded.
Very Naruto coded. Yeah.
That's cool.
Ninja Villages, one of the guys is wearing like a headband with like the metal bar across the top of it. The primary antagonist of the game is a 9-tailed fox. Like it's very steeped in like Japanese mythology. So like the enemies that you fight are like are different types of kami. So like there's kappas and like what are they called? Those weird like floating ghost spirits with one eye and things like that. So it's very, very Japanese coded, very, very Naruto. That's a great comparison. Here's the other thing. So you have to, in order to actually fight the true final boss, you have to play through and beat 3 chapters of this game. But each chapter is exactly the same as the last, just with different story cutscenes in the middle. So you're still going through the same first level. Like I said, the first, second level are the same. First boss is the same. What I would have liked is when you started each chapter, if they would have given the bosses like additional moves to add some variety when you move up to the next chapter, that would have also added some variety to the game. Because otherwise, by the time you're on chapter 3, the last chapter, all they've done to increase the difficulty is increase the HP of all of the enemies, including the bosses, which just means that they're giant damage sponges that take forever to kill because you already know their moveset and know how to block and dodge the entire moveset, but then you're just sitting there and hacking and slashing at it for, I don't know, a couple of minutes longer than you should. And because of how slow the soul progression was when I was playing through it, at least, you couldn't get enough damage boosts to counteract the amount of HP they were adding onto these bosses. So it didn't add challenge through mechanics, added challenge through sliding the number up higher.
Yeah.
Which, disappointing. Is what I would call that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this game has a lot of potential. And there's some drama in the world of Yasha, actually. After the release of the game, about a week after the release of the game, their publisher dropped out of the contract.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And basically said, we don't know the full story, but the developer did say that, they were dropped by their publisher. They're now self-publishing the game, and they cut the price of the game in half. So the game was originally retailing for $30. I bought it the day it released because I was kind of excited for it because of the Next Fest demo that I had played. So I paid 10% off. I think it was $27 for it. It is now retailing normally on Steam for $14, which is a much better deal. Yeah. And they've been talking about doing a lot of content updates to this game. So what does that mean for the future? It means that there's going to be more story added for the two additional side characters. They're talking about new weapons being added for all of the characters. Hopefully that means that we'll get some new move sets for each of them also, instead of having to get a new move set by starting the game over with a new character. We'll see. I don't know. But I think that's good that the developer is still trying to, make this game better than what it was. It almost makes me wonder if they had all this extra stuff planned already and they were kind of forced to push it out of the door faster than they wanted to due to publisher involvement.
Yeah, it seems like this game should be in early access for now.
It maybe should have been released in early access. Yeah.
There's a good foundation. Yeah, but
yes, it's a good foundation, and I think a year from now this game will be good.
Cool.
I don't think it's quite there yet. And I was talking with Mr. Mo, our resident roguelite expert, about this game, and he was like, well, in a year from now, if this game is good, who's going to care? Because it's already out. I'm like, yeah, that's true, I guess, but people will still continue to discover this. It'll go on, a Steam sale for 50% off, and people will be like, this roguelike for $6 or whatever looks like it's a decent time, and people will end up still picking it up and playing it. So
yeah, it's a game that can resurface hidden gems kind of video. You just need one big push and suddenly everyone's playing it. So,
yep.
You never know.
Yeah. So I think there is hope in the future for this game to be better than what it is right now, but I think it's an okay game for right now. It's gonna slot right into the B tier. I don't think this game is almost trash. I don't think I would be willing to put it down into our C tier because I don't think it's quite that bad. But I think there are enough problems with it that I wouldn't say that I had a great time with it.
Okay, so that was Yasha, Legends of the Demon Blade. B tier.
Yes.
I will then continue talking about more ball rolling game.
We have a theme going on this episode.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that's my last ball rolling section.
Are you sure?
No. Yeah, for this week. But who knows what will happen next episode?
I was gonna say we got some rogue balls going on here.
Oh yeah. We need to find the ball rolling roll mix for next time. That would be great. Okay. So more iPhone ball rolling game. I found a series of games called Manic Marble, and from what I saw on the developer website, the developer is Rich Olson, and from what I gathered, it's a game that they made like 15 years ago or something like
Okay.
that. I think it was on computer and maybe early smartphones, and at some point it stopped working, it got delisted, and in the last year or so they remade it and re-released it on everything for free, no ads, no anything.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I played Manic Marble 1, I beat it. Manic Marble 2, I beat it. Manic Marble 3, I'm at the last level. And Manic Marble 4, I'm halfway through the game. I played a bit of each game at the same time because it can get pretty difficult. And sometimes I would just start another one to do the easy levels
Right.
while I was stuck. Okay, so in this game, you use motion controls to control a ball in a void going from A to B. It's exactly the same thing. But this one is more like 3D game that would give you a virus in 2001. It- it's just like a ball with the first texture that they found, they put on the ball. It's just a gradient of colors. And all the platforms are just rectangles, squares, spheres. They're basic shapes with whatever texture they could find. But I say that, but technically, each game follow the same level themes, and I'm using level themes with big air quotes.
Mhm.
In some of the levels, the platforms will have like a carpet texture. In another level, they will have moon texture, and but there's no bump, there's no like different gravity, nothing. It's just that the rectangles have a different texture. You're rolling on PNGs basically,
Okay.
and each game also have the same music, and it's like weird gamey electronic music from the early 2000s. I think you can hear it just by that description, but
Yep.
it's very early 2000s video game music that you would play on Winamp. And okay, and this one doesn't have as great controls as Rollz and Rollz do. The way the game works is that you tilt forward to go faster, and you have like 3 tiers of speed, and you can also move the phone backward to like slow down and roll back. But you have so much momentum that you have to go fast because you have a timer in every
Mhm.
level, and you have to beat the time to unlock the other level. Most of the time, if you don't fall down, it's pretty generous, and you can actually make it without too much trouble. But at the same time, you cannot really stop. You cannot fall. You have to go fast, but at the same time, you cannot do sharp turns. You cannot stop on a whim. If you want to stop, you have to tilt like 2 seconds earlier because you see that the turn is coming.
Right.
But at the same time, there are a lot of like slopes going up, and you're basically doing blind jumps because you're going up the slope and you don't see where you're gonna fall. So the game is more like of a die and retry kind of situation. You have
Okay.
to build your muscle memory of the levels to actually make it happen. I only beat a few levels on my first try. Most of the levels I have to play like 10 times, dying in a bunch of weird spots where you have to tilt just the right way. You just have like a very small section on the left of the platform to go past the obstacle. And the other thing that's pretty difficult with Manic Marble is that when you bump into something, you just go fly. You cannot touch anything in the game. If you touch something, you die. So that's one thing. And when you die, you restart. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's the rule, but you restart somewhere before. I don't know if it's a distance, if it's like 3 seconds earlier. It's not really clear to me, but that means that you can respawn like in the middle of a slope where you don't have momentum and you will just die again. You can restart and you're not facing the right way and you will die again. And when you die, you then go back again and then you just have to restart the whole level because you don't have any time to finish a level in time to unlock the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Manic Marble 3 isn't as bad as the other four for some reason, but every other game is like if you fall once, you have to restart. Like you will just respawn in the middle of nowhere. There are also a couple of jumps where you have like rotating blocks that will block your path, but you cannot really time it because you're most of the time on a slope and you cannot stop on the slope, so you just have to wing it. Either you get past the rotating obstacle or you slow down like 2 seconds earlier to get that momentum back to make the jump. It's really weird. It's really die and retry, and you have to do a bunch of levels. Something that's also kind of funny, the level select is also a level in itself, and
Okay.
it's the same map in all four games. I'm just playing the same game 4 times. I don't know why, but you also have like obstacles in that map. So like that rotating block that was it I was talking about, there's one in the level select, and if you bump into it, you just die and you have to start selecting your level again.
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
crazy. Why would they
fucking
do
dumb.
that?
I don't know, man. And every time you go back to the level section, you restart at the beginning. So if you just finish level 5, you respawn at the beginning and then you have to do that loop again to reach level 6. It's weird. Uh Manic Marble 4 as an additional mechanic. That one they changed like the textures. The texture on the ball is not the same. It feels like they polished it up a bit. There's also a turbo button. After X number of seconds, you a turbo button appears and it lets you go fast.
Mhm.
But it's already so uncontrollable that I never felt confident using that turbo button. You really have to have a straight path to to use it. And yeah, I guess I could talk a bit about like the level structure. The level structure, like I said, is just going from point A to point B, and most of the obstacles are either you're on a rectangle and there's an obstacle left, right, or middle, and you have to go past it, or they are like slopes, like maybe on the left, on the right, and then you have to keep your momentum to not fall, and then you can continue rolling on that angle slope to go on the
Mhm.
other angle slope. Then there's like a rectangle. You do a 90-degree turns and you continue rolling. That's basically the whole game. Each game has between 6 and 10 levels, and once you're done with it, you just get a message saying, "Hey, good job." No
Nice.
fanfare, nothing. Yeah, and yeah, at some point I was stuck on a level. I think it was Manic Marble 2, and I was like, "Oh, there are there's a difficulty setting. I'm going to check the easy setting." There are no easy settings. It's either normal or harder. And actually Manic Marble 3 has an easy setting, but not 4. It's really random. And the easy setting is boring as shit. You're just going so slow. It's like there's no challenge. I would have liked maybe
Right.
just a bit more time so I can fall once or twice more in the level and actually be able to beat it. But yeah, play it on normal. If you're ever trying to try Manic Marble, play it on normal. The controls are fine. The game is fine. The music is fine. It's a ball rolling game.
Yeah.
Yep.
It sounds like it. It sounds like you roll a ball and that's about it.
That's about it. So, without any surprises, do you? I don't think you have much questions about a
No,
ball
I have zero
on
questions about this game.
on PNGs. I'm gonna put it on our B tier. This is fine.
Yep.
It's a ball rolling game. You roll on PNGs, and I think all in all, I'm glad that the dev took the effort to port the game for modern systems. Like this could
Right.
have stayed into like abandonware and just being able to play it with a weird emulator or something. But now the games are free; they're still available. It's nothing amazing, but if you want to roll a ball around, I mean, it does the job.
Right. Cool. Well, next game that I want to talk about is also, well, it's based on something quite old,
Oh,
but it's not quite old. This
okay,
is also another new game. I've been playing a lot of stuff that recently released. I
nice.
don't know why, but I played Desktop Survivors 98, which is a bullet heaven roguelike, I guess is what people are calling them. It's
Yeah,
one of these games similar to Vampire Survivors where you move your guy around and it automatically shoots at all the enemies that are coming into the screen around you.
mhm.
There's your basic premise of the game. The interesting thing about this game is that it is designed to look like a game that would have existed on Windows 98, and also all of like the weapons and everything are like references to things from Windows 98.
It looks so fucking cool. Wow.
It is surprisingly cool, and the nostalgia is strong with this one.
Mhm.
That is its draw, and its draw is real. Like that's a it I am surprised that somebody hadn't come up with this idea prior to this. So you have this little sword with eyes. That's your like little helper in the corner. You
Mhm.
know, like the paperclip used to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's the guy that like pops up and tells you all of your tutorials, and all of like the boxes that pop up are, you know, the kind of blocky gray borders with the slightly different color UI, and the big
Mhm.
blue box across the top for the um like drag and drop uh you know, where you can move
Yep,
um
yep.
a window around. I couldn't think of the word window. So it looks so much like Windows 98. Um, as for the game, I mean, it's another one of this style of game. You start off a
Yeah.
run, you pick a so you start the game and you only have a basic cursor type, and your cursor depend the cursor that you're currently using determines what starting weapon you start with. So
That's so good. Yeah.
your basic cursor just shoots out another cursor as a individual arrow as a projectile, you know, once every you know, maybe once a second or something like that, whatever the time frame is on it. And
Mhm.
so as you defeat enemies, they drop coins and they drop experience. You have to move around. You control the entire game with your mouse. So no controller. I think is controller support if you want to play that way. I was playing with the mouse because why would I not play a game like this on
Yeah.
PC with a mouse? So you move your cursor around with the mouse. All the enemies are coming in from all sides of the screen. Your cursor automatically aims at whatever enemies are closest to you. You shoot them. You pick up experience. The experience bar fills up at the bottom. Once it's filled up, it'll momentarily stop the game, and you'll get 3 upgrades that you can choose from, and those are randomized. But the items that you can get in those randomized 3 are extremely limited at the beginning because you have to unlock the different weapons by completing different tasks within the game.
Mhm.
And those tasks can be as simple as like defeating X number of a certain enemy type, or it can be as complicated as like finding 20 of this particular item that has like a 5% drop rate or a 1% drop rate in each of the rooms. Um, and so its basic gameplay is really, really simple, but actually pretty addicting. I kind of like this
Yeah.
one. Um, So you play through. You're not going to defeat a whole lot of enemies in the first level because your weapon's probably not going to be very strong, especially on your first run. Your weapon's not going to be strong on your first run. So you collect a bunch of coins, and then there will be doors on, and it's like a dungeon crawler where you have to click on a door that'll take you to the next room. And your map, since it's grid based, you pull up your map, and it's a little Minesweeper board. And the rooms that you've already been in are like when you've already clicked on a space in Minesweeper, it'll be one of those. Like it's already indented in, and then where you're located at currently on the map will be like the flag, and then enemy like rooms that you haven't explored yet but you found the door to will just be like a little skull on the map. And then you can find like a shop where you can buy an item, and it's a cat that's selling you the item, which I think there was a little cat that was one of the like paperclip guys that you could choose from back then.
Wasn't it a dog? I think.
I think it may have been a dog.
Yeah,
I remember the paperclip, and there was like a little robot. Those were the two that I always used for my little Windows helper. I don't remember. I know there were like 5 or 6 of them, but I don't remember them all. But
I think there was a wizard.
Yeah,
the dog, the paperclip. That's what I remember.
Okay.
Office assistant.
But yeah,
there were a bunch.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, I won't list them all. There was dog, there was Clippy and stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, so you play through these levels. If you get hit by an enemy, you take damage. If you lose all of your health, you lose the run. There's actually 2 different ways to play this game. You can play it with your desktop background, like whatever your current desktop background is, as the background of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And they designed that mode on purpose because you can pause the game and then click the little Windows helper guy, the little sword guy in the bottom, and it'll minimize the game so that you can interact with your actual desktop. And he'll say something kind of coy like, "Oh, click on me," and you can temporarily hide the game. So they designed this in a way where like you can play this on a work computer without people really realizing that you're playing a video game on your work computer because your desktop is going to be the normal background. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that the enemies will kind of blend in. Like, I don't have anything special as my desktop background. It's like whatever Windows automatic preset desktop was. I haven't changed it because I'm lame and I don't care. But all of like, my game icons and app icons plus the desktop background is kind of busy, and enemies kind of being on top of that, and me trying to move the cursor past it was a little bit too much. So you can change that and just have it be a normal, like, just kind of bland dungeon background, which is fine. Like, I don't need this game to look great or anything because you're here for the gameplay, right?
Yeah.
So you play through, you collect a bunch of these coins. Your coins are your currency. You then lose a run, and you spend those coins to either purchase permanent upgrades for the different weapons that you can get, which the weapons are like your primary cursor that just shoots the normal thing. You get like a shotgun blast, which is a recycling bin, which has been my preferred starting cursor, is just having the recycling bin because it shoots out 3 projectiles instead of 1, even though it shoots them kind of slow. One of them is like a cat's paw that just comes up onto the screen and attacks enemies. You have like a paint bucket that just drops paint on the ground, and if enemies walk through the paint, they take damage. A minesweeper mine, which will appear in places on the ground, and if enemies walk over the mine, it explodes. So all of these things all the weapons are very reminiscent of old school Windows. And so you spend your coins to either buy those weapon upgrades, the permanent upgrades for the weapons that you already have, or you can spend them to buy new cursors to be able to have a different starting weapon, which is Cool. I think the progression in this game is a little slow, at least at first. Once you
Mhm.
start getting to the point where you're getting into later runs, and if you get some, there's an upgrade that allows you to collect more coins. It gives you like a 10% boost to uh like the amount of coins that you collect per pickup. And you can get each of the like boons, each of the upgrades up to 8 times.
Mhm.
Once you get that a couple of times in a run, you start getting a lot of coins. So like in my first couple of runs, I was earning like 500 to 800 coins and not getting all the way to the end of the dungeon. And in a couple of my more recent runs, I'm getting either to the end of the dungeon, at least the first one, because there's multiple different dungeons, and they just change the background and have different enemies, and the enemies are
Mhm.
stronger. Um, but now that I'm getting like to the end of the first dungeon or close to the end of the first dungeon, I'm earning like 2,000, 5,000 coins per run, and I'm actually able to buy more of these upgrades more consistently. But it is kind of rough going at first, I would say. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's all I really have to say about it. It's a really really simple game, but it's also like $5. I think maybe
Mhm.
6. This is a good game.
Yeah.
Like
It sounds it sounds just like some wacky
yeah,
Dustal Vampire Survivors. What's
yeah,
not to
and
love?
I've not played Vampire Survivors yet. That's one that I want to get to because like that's kind of the grandfather of this style of game at this point. Like it's the one that popularized it at least.
Yep.
And I've still not played it. The only one of these that I have played, I think the only one that I've played was Brotato, and I thought that one was just kind of okay.
Yeah, I
Uh,
didn't really like Potato, but
yeah.
I really loved Vampire Survivor. So
I really like this game. I think this is fun. The aesthetic is great, and it's obviously going to be targeted at people our age who
yeah,
have nostalgia from years of using Windows 95, Windows 98, and Windows XP, and just remembering how that UI looked because it was
hmm
man they had some good UI design back in the day.
oh yeah, that's just juicy and kind of 3D. It's just
Yep.
so good.
Cool. So this is going into the A tier for me. I think this is a great game.
Nice.
Uh, Probably the most fun that I've had playing a game. It was what I was playing. That I got caught up playing before we
Oh,
recorded,
okay.
which is why we're recording 10 minutes later than we normally would.
Awesome. Great. Well, I am out of the ball rolling mania, but
All right.
I'm stuck in the weeds because I will be talking about a game called Alpha and Iota.
Okay.
This game was given to me by Mr. Mo that we mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
our good
Hmm.
friend. I think he told me he was halfway drunk one night and was like, "Oh, this looks cool. Let's send it to Max." And that's how I ended up with that game.
Sweet.
And I'm sure he didn't mean it, but this game is like the worst game to talk on a podcast because no, it just does its thing. No other game plays like Alpha and Iota, so I will try my best to explain the game.
Okay.
The simplest, uh, the closest definition I could give it, it's that it's a 2D puzzle platformer, but it's not really a platformer. It- so it's 2D, and you play as like an energy ball. It's called the technician. So you're technically a technician repairing software in a computer, but it doesn't really look like a computer.
Hmm.
It's a bit like glowing Thomas was alone. It's a bunch of shapes, and you're playing a little spheres. And the main mechanic of the game is that that sphere can only exist when it's attached. It's locked on another shape. So you have those circles that you can latch on that
Mhm.
are like your main path, and then from those you can use your left joystick to point anywhere 360, and when you press X, you will exit that shape. And for like a second, you will move in that direction, and you can still control the ball while it's in midair. And after that second, it will zip back to its host. So the idea is that you latch on a shape, and then you need to latch on another shape to then latch on another shape to then latch to another shape and reach the end of the levels. But some of the shapes have different mechanics. So if you latch on a rectangle, you will actually be playing some puzzle platforming. You will be able to jump. You can also float around. So if you hold, I think it's L2, you will just float in midair, and then you can move. And as you move, you will slightly go down. But that that rectangle can still float in midair. And every shape you can like program them to keep doing the last action that you were doing before you lock them in that programming state. So if I'm floating with the rectangle, I press the R2, it will lock itself into floating in midair like it's a circle. If I'm moving left and I lock it, then it will continue to move left automatically. And you can combine those. So you can make it float left, float right. You can make it jump and float and go right at the same time by locking it, and it will like jump. So some of the puzzles are like that. You have like red sections that you cannot touch with your ball, and that you can program your rectangle to jump, and when it's at the top it's not touching the red zone, so you can latch out of the rectangle, it goes down, it jumps automatically, and then you go back into the rectangle, and then you need to latch out again until you reach the other section on the right, and then you can unlock the rectangle and continue the puzzle of the level.
Mhm.
You have other shapes. You have the squares that can climb up walls. You have the sliders that helps you go from left to right, and then sometimes you can just lock it to go right, and then you exit it to go past the red section. You have big squares that can just go left, right, up, or down, but they will continue moving until they reach another wall, and other shapes like that with different mechanics. The base story of the game is that there was a corruption in the system that uh, affected another software called Beta, and I think you can sense a pattern here. Each software is based on one of the Greek letters, so that's what the game is called. Alpha and Iota.
Mhm.
Those are like the two first um, programs that you encounter that will travel with you from software to repair to reach the end of the game. And every time you meet a new software, there's like a novel of things to read that honestly I don't really care about, but I did read it, and I mean the story is fine. It's about like that corruption that was going on in the system, so they had to shut off beta, but I think it was alpha that was supposed to do it, but they didn't do it. So the whole set of programs were shut in the archives. And there's like, they feel like the corruption was actually like the humans that introduced the corruption in the system, and they just, it feels like they were killing AI before they became sentient or something like that. And
Mhm.
the software, like, why would the humans kill us and stuff? So a bit philosophical. I can't say that I really care about that story, but still, it's there for people that want to read all of that. There's a lot of text in the game, a lot of story, and it's never blocking. Like you could play the whole game and just not read anything that the
Right.
programs would tell you. So the way that the game works is you have to go in the first program, reach the end to repair it. Then there's the story sequence, and in each of the levels you will find optional collectibles. So it's a bit of a collectathon if you want. So there are a bunch of collectibles that requires doing some puzzle solving to reach them. And once you reach them, you have to go back to a circle and then you collect them. And then when you go back in the map, you have to have a certain amount of those collectibles to unlock the next level, to then repair another software, and so on and so forth. It's not that the progression is not really difficult in the sense that if you just play the game and find most of the collectibles that are easy in each level, you will have enough to reach the end of the game. But each level have twice as much collectibles that you can find if you really want to go for the 100%.
Mhm.
So once you've unlocked all the softwares, there's like a final level that is more difficult. And at that point, I was maybe 5 hours in, and I felt like that the game was kind of difficult. Like, it's such a weird control scheme of stuff that I've never done before. And sometimes it's tricky because you need to exit, latch out of an object, then latch on something else. And while the other object is still in the air, you have to program an object so that it moves on the other way and then latch out to then latch back on and go fast to the other side. It can get a bit tricky, and I was getting confused
Yeah.
with all my buttons. But once I was done with that final level, it ended with like, oh, next time you see us, we will try to actually find Beta and save him and blah blah blah. And we're like, oh, is that hinting to a sequel or something? Well, actually, beating the game is just like half of the game. The core of the game, I would say, happens after the credits. Because once
Oh.
you've reached the credits, you have access to another set of program where you learn advanced mechanics that you could like do all the time that you didn't know about. And that changed the whole game for me. It it went from like, oh, that's novel, that's kind of hard, I'm a bit frustrated, to okay, I have to do like pretty epic shit, and I know what I'm doing now. So like the first 6 hours are kind of just a tutorial, basically, to get to
Wow.
learn that system. And I'm I think I'm at 12 hours right now, and I'm 3/4 of the way of the game. Some of those advanced mechanics is that if you move quickly from object to objects and time your latching, you will actually get more speed. So when you reach a moving object, you can like shoot it out at quick speeds to reach other sections and unlock
Mhm.
some puzzles that you couldn't solve before. And there are a lot of difficult challenges in that section where you learn about it, where you just have to like go left and right, building speed on a single node to then do epic jumps with some of the rectangles. And those were really difficult. Like it took me like 30 minutes figuring some of those out, like learning about the timing and everything.
Right.
And yeah, there are other mechanics where when you exit from a jumping object, if you time another button that you didn't know about just at the right time, you will get a huge boost. So you can reach other places that you couldn't before. And you have to find some of those hidden programs inside the programs to repair them fully to actually be able to go save Beta. So I'm in that last section trying to save Beta, and I think I will go for the 100%. But like that second section with all the new buttons and not having to fight with the controls anymore, because now I know what each button do. I know all the subtle mechanics and everything. It
Mhm.
feels really good to play. It plays like nothing else, and right now I'm just it's just natural. It became natural in a couple hours, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think your description is probably about as accurate as you can get. Because I was looking at like the Steam trailer for this, and while you were talking, and like, I think you've described it pretty well. I think people are still not going to quite understand what this game is without actually seeing what you're talking about. So I would really, really encourage everybody to go and take a look at the trailer for this and take a look at it. This game looks really cool.
Yeah, it has its own visual and identity. Nothing quite looks like that. It's just like a bunch of glowing shapes, basically, with its own unique set of platforming mechanics, if you can call that platforming. And yeah, I'm really glad Mr. Mo gave this game to me. Like, without receiving this game, I would have never have seen this before. And I'm having a blast. Like, every morning before I start to work, I do some puzzles in the game, and it feels really good.
Cool.
And it's like full price. It's like $5. It's really cheap. Any questions before I put it on the quest log?
Tier list? Call it the quest log.
Oh, I'm sorry. I get so tired at the end of on the Fridays. I
know.
Mix my I mix my podcast around. Yeah, for the tier list.
No, go ahead and place it on the tier list. I'm curious. I have an idea where you're gonna put it, but
I will. I don't know if I'm a bit generous, but that end of the game, learning all about the new mechanics and getting to learn about it, will make me put it into absolute bangers.
Oh wow, you put it higher than I thought.
I got really surprised. Like, I played it, and when I reached the credits, I was like, okay, that was good. Maybe I think it's a great game. I'm not sure. Maybe high this is fine, but that second half of the game really sold it for me. Like, when everything clicked and I learned about the advanced mechanics, it became like so much better, and I'm having so much more fun than I was at the beginning. So I guess you could say that's like a knock on the game, that it takes a lot of time to really, before it really gets going, before you feel really like comfortable with the controls and everything.
Right.
But at the same time, every level you learn about a new mechanic, a new host that you can latch on. So like those first 5-6 hours before you see the credits, you're constantly learning new things and new mechanics and stuff. So I think I don't think you can get bored before you get good at the game. And if you just want to end it at the credits, that's perfectly fine. That's still worth the $5 that the game is priced at. So I think there's a bit of something for everybody in this game.
Yeah, I put it on my wish list, so I'll probably check this one out sometime.
I hope you do.
Sweet. And Max, before we get into my next game, I'm gonna go grab another drink really quick.
Yeah, great idea.
Look at this can. Isn't that cool?
It looks so good.
So this is Octo Haze Indian Pale Ale. It's a hazy pale ale by Four Hands Brewing, who is out of St. Louis, Missouri. It's over on the other side of the state. I really like this beer. It's pretty good. It's really tasty.
Nice. This is
it's blown out.
Yeah. I tried to put some light. It's just a big fish.
It's a big fish. Yeah, I can see it now.
It's a double white strong beer. It's
sweet.
It's fine. Yeah. It's from Boreal. It's a Quebec brewery. I think they were founded in 1988, so it's kind of like old school microbrewery. Like they started
Right.
small, but now they're like the big guys competing with
Right.
the new
Yeah.
small guys. So it's always fine. It's never nothing. It's never nothing really exceptional, but
Right.
it does the job. Like it's great summer beer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have something that's just kind of like reliable like that, where you can. Well, this is just going to be fine. You know, I don't have to worry about it maybe being something that I don't like. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing fancy, just the good old reliable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. The
Do you have
next game that I
more
played.
reliable roguelike?
Yes. So many roguelikes, man. I intended to play 2 more. Um and I was going to try and get to them over the weekend, but I forgot that last weekend I had a Warhammer tournament. So like in my mind during the week prior to that, I was like, "Oh, over the weekend I'll, be able to get around to playing this one and that one." So we might bring those to the next episode if I'm not completely rogueliked out by the end of today's episode. I might try and get to them this weekend. We'll see. I don't know. Actually, let me touch on those really quick. One of them was I asked Mr. Mo specifically for a recommendation, and he recommended me a game called No Skin,
Okay.
which I don't know anything about. But it was $6, so I just went ahead and bought it. And he's been listening to the show, and I was like, hey, recommend me a roguelike that you think that I would like. And then he gave me a whole list. I was like, I asked for one, not 30. And he's like, well, if you're gonna pick just one, I would say this one. And so I have that. It's installed on my computer. I meant to get to it. I did not get to it. I played shitty games instead.
Classic.
Yeah. And then Rob, he had gifted me FTL a little while back. And since I was on this roguelike kick, I was like, well, I might as well play FTL because it's another one of these games that people say is like one of the best in the genre.
Mhm.
So I might as well try it. And I know that one's supposed to be kind of in depth. So I was like, well, that was the one where I was like, well, I'll get to it over the weekend. Then I played Warhammer all weekend instead. So I didn't get to it over the weekend.
Yeah, that's a fair excuse.
Yeah. And we'll get to the Warhammer here in a little while. But the next roguelike that I played that I want to talk about is the demo for Wordplay, which is the new game from Mark Brown, Game Maker's Toolkit.
Yep.
I don't have much to say about this game because it's a really, really simple game. It is essentially like Boggle or Scrabble made into a roguelike. So you are given a 4x4 grid of letters. So 16 letters that are randomized from a pool of letters, and you can click on a button and see the entire pool of letters that you have available to you in a certain stage. Each of those letters has a point value, and you need to try and spell a word from those letters. You start the game with essentially 10 words that you can spell, and then every time you get enough points to progress to the next level, you get +4 to the amount of words that you can spell, and you have to try and get through 10 levels, and each level requires more points. So I think the first level is like, I don't know, you need like 30 points or something like that. And you cannot spell words that are less than 4 letters long.
Okay.
So that's your minimum, which cuts out some like really basic words like and the that you might think about.
Boring stuff, right?
Yeah, boring stuff. Which I think is kind of good. So 4 letters is a reasonable amount, but really you want to be spelling 5-letter and larger words because at 5 letters you start getting bonus points for each additional letter. So at from 5 letters to 8-letter long words, you get 5 bonus points. for each additional letter. And then if you spell a 9-letter word, the 9th letter gives you 10 additional bonus points. And then the 10th letter, 10 is your maximum that you can spell, is a 10-letter long word. That'll give you 20 additional bonus points. Nice. So you want to try and spell as large of words as you possibly can, but sometimes that's going to be difficult based on your knowledge of vocabulary, whether or not the words are actually in the game's dictionary, and what letters you currently have available to you in your pool of letters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So every time you beat a level and you score enough points to get through the level, you will get a boon, a random boon that will give you some additional bonus. And those can be like the second letter in the word gives you ×3 multiplier for the points for that particular letter. Or if you play words with like double letters that are side by side, so like 2 L's in the same word, you'll get additional points for that. Or if you play words that start with a vowel, you'll get additional points for that. So the boons incentivize you spelling certain types of words, essentially. That's what it comes down to. And you don't have to use them, but they're going to help you score larger amounts of points to be able to actually get through all of the levels. Now, one thing I find a little disappointing, actually, is so like you need 30 points to get through the first level, as I already said. Let's say you spell your first word and it scores you 25 points. Whatever the word is, it scores you 25 points. Well, then you go and you play your second word and it scores you 15 points. It'll get you up to those 30 points. Those extra 10 points, gone. You don't get them for the next round. You start back at 0. Yep. I don't know why it's... I don't know why it's designed that way. I would like it if that experience carried over. So essentially what that incentivizes to me is that if I only need 6 points to get through to the next round, I'm going to spell whatever the shittiest 4-letter word is that's going to score me 6 points, and 6 points only, rather than spell a larger word.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that may take up multiple letters that you needed to spell a larger word within your board that like you had already seen, and then you're going to get new letters and they're not going to be the same, so now you're going to have to try and find a new word to spell, or maybe there won't be a word available to you to spell. You have at the start you have 3 chances of completely resetting all of the letters in your grid, and they'll get shuffled back into the pool of letters, which is like 85 letters, I think, in the bag for each level. So they'll get shuffled back in. You'll get a new pool of letters. That can be helpful if you're not finding a word. Obviously, there were a few times where like I had 1 vowel and 14 and 15 consonants, and it's like I literally cannot spell anything with 15 consonants and a U. And it's like, no. Okay, so what am I supposed to do here? And at that point, you just reset the board and say, fuck it. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. That's the basics of the game. I think the point values on the letters are maybe a little too low in some cases. Like obviously the rarer the letter is within the alphabet, the higher points value it is. So like your X's, your Z's, Q's are worth like 10 points. And then there'll be like 8-point letters, I think, with like Y's or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And then like down to 4 or 5 points. And then all your basic letters are 1. I think some of the letters could probably not be 1-point letters. They could probably be like 2-point letters, just to add a little bit more variety, because it really feels like everything is only worth a point until there's like a 4-point letter.
Yeah.
So I would maybe like a little bit more variety there in the scoring.
Or maybe just a bit some randomness, like
Yeah.
So some letters are worth a bit more just because, and you're incentivized to use your U instead of using your A or stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Or like, I don't know, G is not exactly a common letter to be used in the English language, except for like something that ends in ing, but that then requires you to spell a word that's probably at least 7 letters long, because you're going to spell something like jumping, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Um so because I mean, like, there's not that many 4-letter words that are common that start with the letter G, you know?
No.
Good, maybe, but what's the chances of you having 2 O's in your board? Probably not very likely, because vowels are a little bit more uncommon than consonants are. So you're probably only going to have like 4 or 5 vowels in your entire board, and the likelihood of you having 2 O's is fairly low.
True.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's what the game is. It's fine as a distraction. People who like this sort of game, people who liked playing Wordle, are going to like this. I think if you like playing Scrabble, you're gonna like playing this. If you like playing Boggle, you're gonna like playing this. And it's fine. I might check this out when the full release comes out, because there's supposed to be like more difficulties and things added. So I'd like to see what other kinds of twists he put on the game. But as a demo, like, it's perfectly serviceable. It's a word spelling game. You're gonna know whether or not you like the word spelling game by whether or not you like those kind of games. So
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like a word game.
it is very much a word game.
I used to
Wordplay.
play. I used to play a word game on Minute back in the day. It
Hmm.
was called Anagram Magic,
Hmm.
and it was like a bit of the same idea, but you had to make the longest word possible, but you were playing against someone else. So I would
Right.
connect on the computer with like my brother on the other computer, and then we would play Anagram Magic, where we had to at each round just make the longest word possible,
Mhm.
and with like a puzzle at the end, like find one specific 9-letter word with
Right.
and yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about that, but it reminded me a bit of that game, and that game
Right.
I really liked it, but like the competition aspect was pretty fun. Like
Right.
I don't know how much I would enjoy just making words alone by myself. I think it would be more fun with just someone else trying to find
Right.
words with you.
I don't know. Like I said, I thought it was fine. It's gonna go right into that B tier of this is fine. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say about it, really. Like, it's the kind of game where you also can't really be doing anything else while you're playing it, because like, if I'm listening to something, I'm going to lose track of me trying to spell a word,
Yep.
while trying to focus on 16 random letters and trying to see what I can spell out of those. I found it very distracting. Trying to listen to a podcast, trying to listen to music with lyrics, trying to watch YouTube. Like, it's
Mhm.
not that kind of game where you can. And I would almost, if I'm gonna play something kind of mindless like that, I would rather it actually be mindless
Yeah.
and be able to let me do something else while playing it.
Mhm. There's no time limit, right? You just
No time limits. You can sit there and stare at that board for as long as you fucking want.
awesome.
Yeah. Uh, it's fine. I might talk about it again. Probably not. We'll see.
We'll see. Good. Well, I have one more game to talk about today, and it's a classic. It's House of the Dead
It's a good game.
on the actual arcade machine.
Oh, perfect. That's the way to play
Yes,
that game.
in co-op, like the full experience.
Oh
So
yeah.
I like a couple episodes ago, I talked about my video where I visited the arcade in Quebec City,
Hmm.
and this was one of the arcades. So I will talk a bit more about that in the hobby section. But I went to the arcade, uh, and this one, I don't know if you remember the first episode, but I talked about like a monkey throwing game that I
Yeah.
played on the Mega Touch. Yeah. So I went back and checked, and I still have the high score. 6 months, like almost like 9 months later, I'm still number
Nice.
one on that game. So that's cool. And yeah, I was there with my brother and my best friend, and me and my best friend, we decided to just go on the House of the Dead machine, and we just completed the game. House of the Dead, you you're going through a mansions. There's a bunch of zombies and monsters, and you shoot at everything.
Yep.
The game was on free play, so
Perfect.
we so yes, we finished the game. It's mostly because we could than anything. But honestly, on that last level, we were getting fairly good at the game. I think before reaching the last boss on that level, I don't think we got it once. Like we were really zoned in for that last
Right.
level. We were but on the first levels, we're getting it left and right and everything, just learning the timings and everything.
Yeah, that game's pretty hard too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic arcade game. It's
Yeah.
meant to throw some
It's
quarters
meant
at
to
you.
eat quarters. Yes, it
Yeah.
is designed to be hard and
Oh
designed
yeah.
to make you die.
Oh yeah. There are some attack patterns that we felt like we couldn't do anything but get hit.
Hmm.
Like I think you have to shoot on specific sections of the body at specific times, but
Hmm.
it's really obscure. And yeah, that was kind of funny because each boss level as like a document saying what their weak point is, and every time it's like the most basic thing ever, like in
Yeah.
the middle of the chest or their head, and
Yep.
they have a glowing red section, and like, yeah, obviously I should if I shoot them in the head, they're gonna get hit.
Right.
But yeah,
I think they did that though because that was so early in the world of light guns because that game came out in like 95. So
yeah,
there weren't really that many light gun games prior to that. Like maybe Time Crisis. I don't know if Time Crisis was before or after House of the Dead, but that like House of the Dead is one of the first few. So
yeah, yeah,
it
true, true,
makes
true.
a little bit more sense when you look at it from that perspective of like 1994. People aren't going to know that you have to, necessarily shoot the thing in a specific spot.
Yeah, true, true, true. But it was still kind of funny. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Time Crisis really is like a year earlier or something. But yeah,
Okay.
fir-
But Time
first
Crisis
few.
doesn't have giant monsters as bosses as like
True,
helicopters and stuff.
true, true, true. But yeah, there's not much to say about House of the Dead.
No, there's
I mean,
not.
it's tiring on the fingers, so I use like I hold the gun with one end, and then I keep my finger straight and just pump on the on the trigger instead of just going back and forth with my finger. I felt like that was less tiring than using my finger to shoot at the gun. And other than that, I mean, having some good beer. Well, I was drinking cider, but having some good drink, a, a light gun game, a good friend. I mean,
Yeah.
it has to go in great games. It's just a fun
Oh,
time.
yeah,
You,
perfect.
you cannot go at an arcade and spend half an hour on a light gun game and not have a good time. That
Yeah.
they're just shooting zombies and it's fun. And one quite funny tidbit, like we were wearing colored t-shirt for an event after, so whatever. But I was wearing blue and he was wearing red, and I was using the red gun and he was using the blue gun. So our pictures is like really color coded, and we should have
Yeah.
used the other gun to have the full set. But yeah, great game, great
Yeah.
arcade.
I'll say play that game that way on free play at an arcade. Because I talked about the Wii version last
Yeah.
October, and
Oh
it
yeah,
does
yeah, yeah.
not have unlimited continues on the Wii, which is
Insane.
the game's hard.
Oh yeah.
That game's really
Oh
hard
yeah.
when you don't have unlimited continues.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't have beaten it without replay. That was yeah. I did reload quite a lot.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, great game. I love that game. A lot of fun.
Mhm.
Game I don't love so much, Balatro.
Let's get on the hate train.
I don't know if I hate this game.
No.
Uh,
I'm
but
hyperbolized.
I don't understand people's obsession with Balatro. I finally tried it because it is available this month, last month, whatever it was. I think it was May. On PlayStation Plus, or yeah,
Okay.
PlayStation Plus, as one of the free monthly games that you get for having your PlayStation account, which I have. So I was like, oh, great. I finally get to try this game that everybody seems to love. Awesome. So I try it. I sit down one afternoon and I play it for about like 3 or 4 hours. And like, it's poker. At the end of the day,
Yep.
it's poker. It's just playing poker. And you know what I like about playing poker is sitting around with my friends and drinking beer and shooting the
Yeah.
shit and maybe winning $20. You know
Yeah.
what I don't like about poker is not having my friends around or beers. Well, I had beers. And not winning any money. Which I did not win any money playing Balatro. So I don't know how to describe it other than just as poker. Poker with randomized boons
Mhm.
that maybe score you more points. And that's it. Like that's all this game is.
Yeah. I also don't get it.
I am really struggling to understand why people get so obsessed with this. Because it's just like I play a poker hand and then I score some points. And then I play another poker hand and then I score some points and then it gets to the point where I can't score enough points to win the round because the point value that it wants me to get to is like way more than the amount of points that I can score with the cards that I have in my hand, and then I have to go back to the beginning and start all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's what this game is. Like sure, you can add certain modifiers to your cards, but I didn't find enough of those modifiers to feel like they were impactful.
Yeah, that's my main gripe. Well, I don't like the game, but like that's my main gripe with the game, where it feels really like 52 cards is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of cards to replace in your deck to have
Yep.
any kind of strategy. And you can only replace so many cards and have so many effects that you can have the best strategy in the world and just get vanilla cards for 3 straight
Right.
hands.
Yeah, so you could have a strategy where like you get a boon where it's like, oh, play all the clubs. Okay,
Yeah.
well, what if I don't draw any clubs? What if I don't get anything that allows me to change any of my cards to clubs?
Yep. Exactly,
And,
because you
and
cannot work on that either.
yeah, and then you're just screwed out of that run, and then you have to start over from the beginning again.
And even worse than that, because let's say you're super lucky and every time you can transform some of your cards into clubs. Well, maybe that you're like, because every third round you have a condition to beat, right? Like
Yep.
I don't remember what they're called, but the poker game is playing against you, so you won't be able to play some kind of ends or stuff like that. But well, one of those is you cannot play some of the suits. So let's say your strategy is to make a full clubs deck. Well, you can readily get a boss that will make you not be able to play clubs.
Yep.
Well, then that whole strategy is out the window. So you can never have a strategy of making a full deck of clubs, which sounds like the whole point of the game is making one OP deck with only aces of clubs. But I cannot
Right.
do that because I I can get I get killed just because the game decides that this is not a valid strategy. So then every time you need to make multi-strategy decks,
Mhm.
and then like what's the point? You will always be the same doing the same things over and over, and if you don't get the right boons, well, your deck won't work.
Right.
Like I don't get it.
Yeah. And there's so many boons too. There's like 150 boons in this game. So there's not even any way to like try and like you have to try and build a strategy on the fly with all of these randomized boons, but sometimes you're not going to get any boons that work together at all.
Mm-hmm. No,
And then it's just like, well, this is just dead. Like it's absolutely just dead. So it's literally unwinnable sometimes.
yeah, absolutely. So like yeah, people just getting crazy and working on harder and harder difficulties and stuff like I don't see the appeal.
I
You're
don't
just
either.
I played once. I won like the main game, like it's winning 8 rounds. So I beat the game. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of fun, like building a deck and stuff. And then I got like bad luck for a couple of rounds. I'm like, well, this is trash. I cannot like the way that I won was just lucky.
I did not even get past round 4 in the
Wow.
4 hours that I played.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, and it's mostly I'm sure that's mostly not your fault. You just had bad luck, right?
yeah, that's sure as fuck how it feels.
Yeah. I feel
uh,
like we're the only 2 podcast people in the world who don't get Balatro.
it sure feels like we are the only ones who don't like this game. Like I'm sure there's some other people out there, but I said something in the Discord about it was kind of both about this game and about wordplay. Essentially, I would equate playing Balatro to playing solitaire on a Windows 98 PC. It's something to do to pass the time. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not having fun, but I'm not bored either. I would rather
Yeah.
be playing basically anything else.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I just I don't see the appeal. I really don't. And I hear people talking about like, oh, I have to go back. I keep having to, get back into the game and play it again. Like I played it 4 hours. Like I said, I played it 4 hours one night. I've not touched it again. I'm probably not going to. It's gonna sit installed on my PlayStation for probably another 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna need the space, and it's gonna get uninstalled, and I'm never gonna touch the game again.
That's totally fair. I mean, it's not a good game.
It's almost trash.
I'm glad you're saying that because that's exactly where I would have put it if I had brought it to the show. Because to me, the gameplay, not the gameplay experience, but the design of the game just doesn't work for me. It's just the idea that you can get killed by the game at any point because they just decide that your current strategy is invalid. It's freaking dumb. I don't like that. I just like, what's the point? I just spent 45 minutes building a strategy and then you're telling me that strategy doesn't work. Like what's the whole point of the game then? So
right.
Yeah, I really didn't like it. Like the only bit of fun I had was because I think I got lucky. Like I got bosses that fit with my deck, and I had some kind of pretty fine boons, and I managed to win fairly quickly. But as soon as I tried other ones, or like I was like that's shit. Okay, I got so lucky. Now I'm not having fun.
I would rather play poker with my friends and lose all my money.
Absolutely.
Or play literally any other video game. Like all of the other video games that I talked about today, I would rather play over Balatro.
I would be playing Manic Marble for days. I played more Manic Marble than Balatro, for sure.
That's some video games, I guess. But that's not the end of the podcast, though. We got more to talk about. We got some hobby time.
Let's go. right, so I teased it a little bit. I went to the arcade. So last week I went to see my favorite comedian that I actually made a video with last year. And before we went to the show, we had dinner, my brother, my best friend, and I, to my favorite poutine place in Quebec. It's called the Intuition, and they basically have 40 different poutine recipes, and you can choose any sauce that you want. They have like 5 or 6 different sauces, and the portions are like gigantic. You take the small one and you can barely finish it. It's amazing. It's a great place. I love this place. I had a beer, and then we went to the arcade, like I said, and I met the owner of the arcade who saw my video. So that was pretty fun.
Wait.
We talked together, and he was really happy with the video, and he was happy to see me like just going to the arcade, and that it wasn't just for a video or a bit, that I actually like his establishment and all. So that was
Mhm.
really cool talking with it. I had a cider. It was like 10%. It was pretty heavy. And then we went to see the comedy show. It was I don't know how to say that in English, but he's trying his new stuff for his future show.
Okay.
So so it's not exactly, we've probably seen jokes that he won't ever make again. But that
Right. It's
it
a
was
practice set that's pretty common for comics
yeah,
where
yeah.
they'll
So yeah,
they'll try material out at a club and see and workshop it and see if it works. If it doesn't, they'll move on from it. If it does, they'll keep workshopping it, try and make the jokes better. That's it's pretty
exactly.
standard comedy stuff. So
Yep. Oh yeah, it was a workshop night. It was pretty funny. I had a great time. My sister and her husband were there too. I had 2 more drinks. I was very drunk when I got back home. I think I semi passed out on my couch for like 2 hours before I went to bed. And so he had a comedy group like in the 90s, and we were all color coded like the characters in his comedy show.
mhm.
And he signed all of our t-shirts. So I have now a blue t-shirt signed by the comic, and
Hey, that's
that
cool.
was that was a great night. And then last Wednesday I went to a thing called The Torch. It's like a video game developer meetup in Quebec City. It happens like every few months, and each time it's hosted by a different studio. So it's in a bar, but it's like one studio organizing the event each time. And I went there with my cousin. We met with a guy who makes music and makes metal music. It's all screaming, so I didn't really like his music stuff, but the guy was pretty cool. And then we talked with another studio in Quebec City called Fika, who made Ship of Fools. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have
It's like
not.
it's like a co-op roguelike uh boat experience. It's pretty cool. It's like arcade experience. You're like, it's kind of a bullet hell. You're on a boat with a friend, and you have to kind of build the boat and defend the boat by moving the cannons around. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience.
I'm looking at the trailer right now. This looks really cute.
Yeah. And they're working on a new game, and I could talk with like the founder of the studio, and yeah, they were just great people. That was like my main hobby. I went out. I went, and I've been like a normal human meeting other humans.
Right.
That was pretty fun. And I don't know if you've seen, but Travis, Ness friend, our friend released a video last week, and in his video, he was basically playing a bunch of Atari games, and for each Atari 8-bit games, and for each game, he made one fake gaming cover using AI,
Mhm.
just to just make fun of. And people went batshit crazy in the comments.
I heard.
They were like, "Oh yeah, it was to the point. It felt like Travis just had murdered somebody. It like he was getting shit on and receiving hate mail and stuff. So it just pulled down the video, and he asked me if I could do, and said he would like to retry making somewhat the same video with not the same games, with other Atari 8-bit games, and instead of using AI to make fake covers, he asked me if I could make some fake covers using Photoshop. So I gave me like 15 minutes per cover. He gave me a list of like 9 covers to make, and I did a bunch of Photoshop for his future potential video. So I'm pretty excited to share that with everybody, because I think they turned out pretty great. Some of those are kind of scary, other are pretty dumb and stupid. I can send you one or two if you want
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
see that. But yeah, that was very fun. I love doing Photoshop, and that was fun being able to just
Cool.
Photoshop random shit.
We're gonna get live reactions from me.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm sending you. I'm gonna send you 3.
All right. So first one, Darg. This it looks like a Goosebumps cover. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Peanut Butter Panic. It's a child trapped in a jar of peanut butter. Is that a child? It looks like a child.
I think it's supposed to be a woman, but I can have warped her.
Okay. Still interesting.
Yes.
That what is You will never sleep again? Lurking horror? Is that what that's supposed to say? The text on that is kind of
it's funky looking. But
yeah, it's a little funky.
Lurking horror. With like
It looks like I was gonna say like one of the apes from Planet of the Apes, but he has his septum pierced. And then it kind of looks like his hand is extending too far out from that sleeve.
Yeah. It has a really short sleeve, or something's wrong there.
Yeah. No, those are good. I like them.
Thanks. So I had a lot of fun. There are a bunch more for the video, so don't know when this will drop out, but I think Trav is gonna have a blast reacting to them.
Right. Yeah, I did not watch his video. Sorry, Trav. I know you're listening, but maybe. I don't know. Maybe you're listening. But I did not watch that video. I know he still has it up on the Patreon. So I could watch it there. I just haven't yet. But I didn't catch it before it got taken down.
Yeah.
I don't understand people like sending hate over using AI for obviously a joke. Like the way he described it was a joke.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not like he was trying to put out a commercial product using AI as the image art. Like,
I think there are like 2 parts of the situation. I think there are like social warriors kind of people who are like really pissed because AI can supposedly have environmental impact.
Yeah, for sure.
So like it's like from the comments I saw, it felt like Trav just burned an African village by generating 9 images. So, but I think it's just like the idea of using that tech for any reason is just, for them, is like the worst thing ever, because it has impacts and people are careless of using AI for no reason. So I think that's one part of the comments, and the other part are people just fed up of seeing AI everywhere, and I think they were kind of disappointed of seeing AI in their Nest Friend video, even if it was just like as a joke section, or oh no, I stop at AI, I don't want to see that, blah blah blah. But I don't know, as one, like, it's there. I don't think Trav using AI for 9 images is gonna burn a forest or anything. I think you should be angry at corporations and not at one YouTuber.
Yep.
And two, it wasn't like aggressively. The video wasn't AI based. It was like at most 2 minutes of the whole video. Like it was just a
Right.
couple segments. You could skip past them. Like why get angry at your entertainment for that?
Yeah.
I don't.
I think there's legitimate reasons to be mad and legitimate reasons to be concerned about AI. Like, so my primary concerns with AI are specifically AI taking away jobs from artists. When large
Yep.
corporations who are already making billions of dollars start using this tool, like
Yep.
they have been, to take jobs away from people who need jobs, who have
Mhm.
worked for years at their craft of artistry, whether that's in marketing or graphic design or UI design or any sort of design work, when those sorts of jobs start getting taken away from people and given to AI instead, all that is doing is putting more money in the corporation's pocket and less money for the people.
Absolutely. Totally
That's a
agree.
problem.
Yep.
And that's a real problem that we are going to have to try and solve in this
2 years.
country after
Yes.
the next 4 years. Um,
Yep.
because nothing's going to happen with it right now. I can almost guarantee that.
hmm
But
And from what I've seen, Nestfriend is not a billion-dollar corporation.
no,
Just saying.
no. Last I heard,
I
he
don't think
currently
so.
does not have a job.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
Yeah. Sorry, Trav. I wish I could hire you, but I'm not a
Yeah,
business.
same.
I mean, I guess technically I am. I am
Yeah,
self-employed, which means I'm a small business owner. Technically, we'll put that in
technically.
giant quotation marks. We're not going to get into that right now. That's how I have to file my taxes, though.
Yep. So yeah,
I'm an independent contractor. It's fine. I like my
Mhm.
job. I like what I do for work.
Cool.
It's how I get paid.
Yeah, we need to get paid.
Yeah.
So we can afford to make some podcasts and buy games.
Yeah, I have
But
to buy video games. I have to buy models. I have to pay for my house. So,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I had a good time making some Photoshop, and those people, I guess they were just like Balatro players. So.
yeah. Yeah, must have been.
All right.
Right.
Speaking of models, you had a tournament, right?
I had a tournament. I had a 2-day tournament over the weekend. 2-day tournaments, GTs, as they are called, grand tournaments, are always so much fun. Um, so this was Midwest Conquest, which was held here in Kansas City, um, fairly close to me. So, anytime there's a GT here in town, I'm always gonna go because why wouldn't I? It's here
Yeah.
in town. It's local. We had a bunch of people come in from out of town. This was both. This was actually Midwest Conquest was 3 separate tournaments, all being held in one giant room in this hotel. We had the tournament that I was participating in, which was the Warhammer Age of Sigmar tournament, which we had, I think, 36 people sign up, but we ended up with 31, I believe. By the time the actual tournament started, we had some people drop for whatever reason. It happens at
Yeah.
every event. It's gonna happen. And then there was a Warhammer 40k narrative event going on, and they also had like 30 people, somewhere around there, 20 to 30 people. I don't know for sure. I don't have their exact numbers because I was not playing in that tournament. And then there was a Warhammer 40k uh actual like 40k tournament going on. And 40k is the big game in the world of Warhammer. They had like 100 people playing in that event. So, we have like 200 sweaty nerds in a fucking hotel room, all
Yeah.
hanging out and playing war games all weekend. It was a great time. I had I had a lot of fun, but I did not play very well.
Oh no.
Um, I won. So 2-day tournament is 5 games. 3 games day 1, 2 games day 2. So that's Saturday, Sunday. I won 1 game and lost 4.
Yeah.
It happens.
Not the best showing. Yeah.
No, not the best showing. I think I placed. By day 2, we also had a couple players drop. So at the end of day 2, we had 29 players. So I placed, I think, 26th out of 29. Absolutely my worst showing ever.
Oh no.
Every other GT that I've played in, I have placed 3 and 2, meaning I won 3 games, lost 2. So this is absolutely my worst showing, and I don't know exactly what to attribute that to. I think it's a combination of 2 factors. One, the competition was really steep. There were a lot of good players that came in from out of town, some of whom I played against. So that's always going to be a factor. If there's a skill difference at all, those skill differences can impact games in various ways. They're going to play better than you. And then for 2, I've been kind of out of practice. Over the last 6 months, I have not been playing as much as I used to. I used to get in like 2 to 3 games of Warhammer a week, which is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. That's 9 hours of Warhammer per week on average, because a game takes about 3 hours.
Yeah.
What's that?
Plus travel and everything.
Oh yeah. Plus travel. When I'm not playing at home, because sometimes I would play at my house, just have somebody over and we'd play on my kitchen table or whatever. But so not been playing as much. I've maybe gotten in the last 6 months. I played in like one day tournament, and man, I don't know, like maybe once or twice a month at most I was playing. So I'm out of practice. That definitely had something to do with it. But we're going to go through my games really quick.
Yep.
And because I enjoy talking about my games and I enjoy talking about Warhammer. So, game number 1. I'm not going to give last names because I did not record them, and I also don't have consent from like the people that I played against to like spout their name out on my podcast, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't ask, but I'll give first names.
But are those results any public on?
Oh yeah, they're public.
Okay,
so
awesome.
I mean, people could find them online if they fucking
people
wanted to.
People could find the GT anyway, but yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you could find the results online if you know where to look. I'm not going to post links to that or anything. No. But right. my first game was against Joel. Joel was playing Flesh Eater Courts and went on to win the tournament. He placed first.
Oh wow!
So
that's a rough first match.
It was a rough first match. He was really, really good, obviously, because he won the game or won the entire tournament. He beat me 38 points to 19. I was able to take him off of one of his battle tactics on turn 2, which is probably the most impressive thing I can say about that match. But other than that, he absolutely destroyed me. He was playing Flesh Eater Courts. Now, Flesh Eater Courts, I'm not super deep on Warhammer lore, but I know bits and pieces here and there. So I know a little bit about each of the armies, and I'll get into that. So I was playing Nighthaunt, which are my ghosts. I've talked about them before. Flesh Eater Courts are also a death army. They are servants of Nagash, but they are undead ghouls under the command of Usharan, who is the Grand Master of the Grand Delusion. So the entire concept of the Flesh Eater Courts is that they are all these vampirous ghouls that go around eating people, but they think that they're noble knights. They think they're like saving the realm from everything, but instead they're undead fleshy monsters. So fucking cool. I love it.
Nice. That's pretty metal.
That was a really, really fun game. Joel was a great opponent. I had all great opponents, so I don't need to continue on with that. My game 2 was against Ethan, who also came in from out of town. He was playing Ogre Maw Tribes. Ogres are an army that I also own and play, so I know their play strategy pretty well. The problem was that both of our armies want to charge into each other, and he just had more things to charge into me than I had to charge into him, so he was able to win that game. It was a really fun game. It was actually pretty close. We were neck and neck right up until the end of the fourth battle round. And the Ogre Maw tribes they're one of the destruction armies. They are running away from what is called the Everwinter. They are chased relentlessly wherever they go by an endless storm. And all they do is they run across the mortal realms and they eat everything in their path.
Wow.
They are 10-foot tall, monstrous. Just, we are going to come into your home. We're going to kill you. We're going to eat you. We're going to destroy everything that you have here, and then we're going to move on to the next place where we can find food. That is what the ogres do.
Nice. Love that.
And then game number 3 was against my friend Jay. Jay came in from out of town from Arkansas. I've met Jay before. He's one of my favorite people to play against at one of these large events. He has big theater kid energy. I'll say it that way.
Nice.
Absolutely just a joy to play against. I was like 3 beers deep by the time I started playing against him. We had an excellent game, and he was my only victory. I beat him 44-38. I basically destroyed all of his army by turn 3. And he just had a couple of units running around the table. He had kind of castled up in this strategy. He was also playing Flesh Eater Courts, so he had like Usharon and a bunch of other guys kind of just like sitting mid board, and I got a turn off where I was able to get basically my entire army charged in onto his army, and then I attacked with everything before he had a chance to fight back. So it was a little devastating for him, but it was that was retribution, because we played last year down in Springfield, Missouri at an event together, and he beat me with that same army. We played against each other at the beginning of the edition, and he beat me. So we played the armies against each other again this time, and
1-1.
I won this time instead of losing, just barely. I think last time we played, he beat me by like 2 points or something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Oh no. So close.
And then my 4th game was against Gabriel. He was playing Ideneth Deepkin. So Ideneth Deepkin are an interesting army because they're supposedly good guys, but they are elves that have like had their souls taken to the bottom of the ocean and now live at the bottom of the ocean and just like raid and pillage the shorelines. Those are the good guys.
Oh yeah. Good guys energy.
Yeah. And my problem with playing against them is that nobody around me plays them very often, so I don't ever get to see the army on the table, so I don't really understand how they play, so I don't have a lot of experience against them.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I lost that game also, 34-44. It was a great game. I think I could have won this game. I think I misplayed really, really poorly in the 3rd battle round, where I took a battle tactic where I needed to destroy a particular unit, and then he was able to move them farther away from me than I thought he was going to be able to, and I tried to still do that, and it didn't work out for me, and he was able to kill my general. So probably a misplay on my part that cost me that game. I think I had a couple other misplays in that game also where I could see definite points where I was like, yeah, that probably wasn't a good idea thinking about it in post. But
Yeah.
early in the morning at the start of day 2, sometimes the brain's a little foggy. So
Yeah, for sure. After the beers of the
yeah.
of the evening. Yeah.
Yeah. And then game number 5, I played against Ryan. He's another local from here somewhere in Kansas City. He was playing Nurgle, and Nurgle are servants of the god Nurgle. He's one of the chaos gods. He is the god of plague and infection and disease. So all of the army is just like dudes with like pustules on them and like bits of them that have like their skin is like split open and like guts are spilling out. They're really kind of nasty looking. Really
Nice.
fucking I like them. They're cool. But they're also extremely tough. Every time I play against Nurgle, I forget just how resilient that army can be. Where like their models just don't want to leave the table. They just don't take damage very well, so they just stick around. You put so many you put attacks into them like they're any other unit and they just don't die.
Wow.
So they're really hard to move off the table, and yeah, he outplayed me 46-38. Really good game. I had never had a chance to play against Ryan before. Great guy. I've played against his wife at a couple of tournaments, and like we've been at a bunch of tournaments together since he's a local guy. So like we've been at a bunch of events before together, and we've just never played against each other. So it was cool to finally actually be able to play against him. It sucks that it's at an event where I would like to, I like to meet and, play against people that are coming in from out of town. But
yeah,
but I mean, like at the end of the day, it's fine. We went into that game, both at poor win rates, and he was able to get the win off of me, which good for him. It was a great game. Yeah, that's my Warhammer. I'm putting the Nighthaunt away. So I switch armies about once a year. So Nighthaunt's going on the shelf, and I'm gonna pull out my elves, the Lumineth Realm Lords. They are the high elf army.
So do you think you're gonna put more time during the summer or anything, or you will stay just casually playing from time to time?
No, I'm definitely gonna try and put some more time in to playing over the summer. I would like to get back into at least consistently playing once a week. I don't know if I'm gonna get back to playing twice a week like I was, but I can definitely do once a week. And that will at least give me, consistent experience to be able to carry forward into the next few tournaments that I want to play in. There's a few more 2-day events coming up later this year, and some 1-day events that I want to play in that I know are going around locally. So, yeah, Warhammer's going to continue to happen, and I have no intention of slowing down.
Great stuff. I love hearing about it. Like, it's so far removed from me. Like I've never really seen that played live or anything. So I find it really interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you find it interesting. I hope the audience finds it interesting. I hope I can inspire one person in the audience to pick up the game and start playing. Play Sigmar. Don't play 40K. Yeah. Don't fuck that game. The models are better in Sigmar anyway. Like why would you want 7 factions that are all just Space Marines? Boring.
Yeah, boring. I prefer the pestilence, flesh eating.
Yeah.
Stuff and all. Yeah.
Right, that's my hobby time. I've talked enough about Warhammer. Let's move on to some loot box. Unless you have any other questions.
No. I think that's fine for today.
All right, loot box. I've got 2 videos to shout out. One that I have finished, one that I've not finished. So first one, Austin Eruption. Forgotten and Weird Rockstar Video Games. Austin always puts out good content. He's always just kind of talking about random video games. That's kind of his main shtick, is being like, hey, there's all these things that kind of can be lumped together under this one category. Let's just talk about those and see what they're about. And I dig that. And he plays a lot of weird video games, a lot of weird retro stuff. And this video is about the games that you know, the Rockstar games that aren't Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. So
yeah,
good stuff.
Nice. Great
Bully.
guy.
Yeah, great guy. Bully needs to come back. I would love to see another Bully game. I love that game on PS2. I've played it. I've probably beaten that game 4 times.
Wow.
Well, so, I mean, I only had a PS2 with like 20 games for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So it was that's a 30-hour game that you can just play again. It's because it's a Rockstar game, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You
second video that I wanted to shout out is K-Bash. K-Bash does these videos, usually kind of long form, like an hour plus long videos, usually about one specific video game. This is about a genre, which is the Weird West. And he goes like kind of deep onto the origins of both the American Western before spaghetti Westerns, and also like the weird twists that people started putting on Westerns back in even the silent film era that I wasn't aware of.
Wow.
And then brings all of that, base information of, where the concept of the Western started from and how that's translated into video games as a more modern representation of the Western. I've not
really
finished
fun.
this video. K-Bash does really interesting stuff like this. He deserves so many more views than what he gets.
Wow. Yeah, I think they're really just on the verge of being like too long for some people.
Probably, but I like them, so
yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I guess that's like 2.5 hours on a video essay on a subgenre maybe isn't the most algorithmically
viable. Yeah, no,
viable
it's
thing,
probably not. But you know what? He's talking about something that he's passionate about, and I would much rather that than him put out a fucking 10-minute video about something that he's not.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, and I mean that video sounds really good. So
yeah, it's great. So I found K-Bash because he did a series of videos about Dark Souls, and I watched his compilation of those, which is like I think 4 hours long of him talking about the entire Dark Souls franchise.
wow,
It's great.
Just a classic. You spend more time watching people talking about Dark Souls than playing Dark Souls.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, for me, first is PortalRunner. I got recommended this video by the YouTube algorithm like 2 days ago, I think. It's turning Portal 2 into a web server. So it just realized that you can output the source engine server into an HTTP server. So you can talk to it just like you would talk to an HTTP server. And then he modded the game to receive those commands and place blocks in the level to make web pages. So you're pinging your Portal 2 game and then you're receiving a web page using Chrome.
Okay.
It's such a dumb idea. But at the same time, that was really interesting, and that was fun seeing all that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second one is NakeyJakey. Do you know about NakeyJakey?
Yes, I do, and I've seen
Yeah.
this video. It's good.
Okay, yeah. NakeyJakey is just an absolute YouTube beast. It just comes around, makes like 2 videos a year, and every time it's like a masterpiece. I don't know how he does it, and this one maybe is best video yet.
Well, he spent 6 months making a video. I fucking hope they're good.
Yeah, true. So the video is how Counter-Strike took over my life, and basically in the video it just decided to give himself an arbitrary goal of reaching 10,000 skill points in the Counter-Strike ecosystem. Like I don't know all the terms, and the whole video is just him narrating the different games he had in the ranked and what he learned, why it didn't work, how he trained to get better at the game, and all of that mixed with a bit of philosophy, with like loot boxes and everything, talking to his friend who's he's playing with, and how he was mentally engaging with the game as the more time he spent playing Counter-Strike with other people. And man, there's also like beautiful lit shot with great like studio quality. It looks like a movie in some places in this video. That's wow. That's this would go on my list for best video of 2025 for sure. It's just so good. Amazing video. If if you had to watch any video I ever recommended on this channel, this would be it. It's a great one.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
I think we had an email. Did we have an email?
Yeah, so we had an email from Rob, but we've also, I'm looking at our recording time, and we're currently sitting at 2 hours and 50 minutes. And I would kind of like to stop talking, so I think we might save Rob's email for next episode if you're fine with that.
I'm glad you're saying that. I think that would be smart. So sorry, Rob, but we will get to you. Thank you for sending those emails. We will get back to you next time.
For sure. And if anyone else out there would like to send us an email with any questions, comments, topics of discussions, anything at all, you can email us at thetrashstation@gmail.com.
And we would also like to thank Heath Aldrich for our intro and outro music. You can find the link to all his music on his Bandcamp page at heathaldrich.bandcamp.com.
And we would also like to thank RainbowSavvyDesigns for our logo. Links to both of their works will be available in the show notes. And you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/scotchandhobbies. I usually stream every Monday and Wednesday, and Sunday now. I guess Sunday has been my consistent day of streaming, if I'm being honest with you.
Nice.
So I've been really consistently doing Sunday mornings at like 7 a.m. Central Time. And then I've not been doing the Mondays and Wednesdays as often as I would like to, just because like I've been busy with work and life and buying a house and all of that bullshit.
Yeah.
So life takes precedence over Twitch, but life doesn't have anything going on at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. So that's been fun.
Perfect. And if you want to play some of my games, you can check out my itch.io page at potomax.itch.io. Otherwise, you can see what I'm playing on Blusky at Potomax. And if you speak French or like to read subtitles, I have a ton of videos on the good old YouTube at youtube.com/Jeubière.
And you can find the show at Trash Station Pod on Blusky.